This video is brought to you by patreon.com/worsttake. Get access to exclusive live streams and Discord servers, on-screen shoutouts, and early access to some videos when you join now. Help make sure that we can continue to make content like this by supporting the Patreon. Links are in the description down below. Hey, what's up, and welcome to Q&A, the show where I take your questions from YouTube, Twitter, and answer them here in video format. A ton of things to get into, so we're just going to start. This first question comes from Twitter, who says, from Games Amazing, I'm not reading that name, bro. From Games Amazing, who says, do you think the Browns will be able to keep Delpit if he performs like this and gets paid like a top safety? Also, do you think we move on from Greg Newsome at the end of the year, trading him for some draft capital so we can use his potential future contract to retrain players? No, this is why we need to chill on the whole, oh my God, the Browns have cap space, they're going to trade for Devontae Adams stuff, and realize what that money's for. That money that they're clearing up is to keep Greg Newsome, is to keep Grant Delpit, is to keep the core players around this team, right? That money's going to be used to keep Nick Chubb. The way the Browns move around money, it's not so they can make a splash regular season move. They've already made all the moves that they feel like are necessary for this roster to win. It's because they want to keep this roster around. So that money's being kept around for like a guy like Grant Delpit. Look, he's going to be here next year because worst case scenario, he gets the franchise tag. Best case scenario, we're able to secure him on a 2 to 3 year deal and kick that money for like 5 years or whatever it is. But yeah, they're going to do whatever it takes to keep the young players around this core because they know what they have in this core and, you know, they don't want to lose it. So I think that's what the money that everybody's been kind of obsessed with is for. And that's what I think the plan is to do with that money. The next question comes from Jose Ramirez's Chain, who says, it definitely seems like Watson is going to play based on the Mary Kay Cabot report. But do you think his injury could have an impact on his play this weekend? I haven't seen any reports on why his practice is limited. From what I know, and this is from reports as well that are public information, he has a sore shoulder, right? From what I don't know, but he has a sore shoulder. So what they're doing with him is resting him and not letting him throw a ton. It's not that they fear that there's any damage in the ligament. It's not that they fear that there's any reduced range of motion. They just know that there's a lot of inflammation and it's sore. So that can be healed up in a couple of days. That could take a couple more days to heal up. I don't think if he gets to the point where he can play with it, then it's not going to really affect him. And it's not going to be anything worthy of an excuse for him. I famously was not letting Baker Mayfield slide on that labrum pass, right? When he had that bad labrum, I wasn't letting that slide with him. I'm not going to give Deshaun Watson a labrum pass if that's the case. If he decides to play on Sunday, he also needs to make the decision on whether he can be, you know, enough of himself to help the team win. So that's up to him and the team. Matt says, from a long list of injuries, it really feels like the game will come down to stopping Lamar on defense and keeping our offense on the same pace as last week. Would it be beneficial to limit Watson's throws to 20 or so passes to prevent risking or more serious injury? Here's what I'll say. It depends on how the game lays out. But as a point of reference, if you feel like you have to severely limit your game plan to work around Deshaun Watson's injury, then Deshaun Watson should not play. That's where I'm at. I'm at that with most quarterbacks, by the way. Like, I just think if a quarterback has to be so limited that you can only throw 20 passes, if a quarterback has to be so limited that they can only throw certain throws, then why not put in the backup? I understand why players don't want to do it. I understand to a certain extent why coaches don't want to do it, because it does put a damper on things when the backup has to go out there. But this is what you drafted DTR to do. So if they feel like they have to severely limit Deshaun Watson, I would err on the side of just not playing him, giving him those 2 weeks to rest up, and then having them ready for that San Francisco game, rather than letting them play out there severely limited and let this thing turn into something bigger. So given that the bye week's next week, if you feel like that's the case, and I don't think that's the case with Deshaun, I think if they're going to let him play, be a full schedule, and a full game plan for him. But if the plan is, hey, we're going to limit Deshaun in a significant way to help his injury, then you just can't throw him out there, right? Like, in 20 throws, limit him to 20 passes, that's it. Now, if it comes down to like the Browns just dominate, get ahead early, and they could just run the ball to ice the game out, obviously you would prefer that, but the game plan can't be limited because of Deshaun. If you feel like, hey, we can only do this with Deshaun in there, then you should probably just not have Deshaun in there. The next question comes from Austin, who says, for the upcoming free agents, we have Zadarius, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Awalk, Delpit, etc. Who are you most likely, or who do you think the Browns are most likely to bring back? Thank you for the question, Austin. I would say 1, Awalk, because he's cheap. 2, Delpit. 3, Zadarius. That's the order. I don't think Donovan Peoples-Jones will make his way back. I think he's going to be too expensive, and they have too much depth behind him. And honestly, I don't even know if they're going to keep DPJ at that spot for the rest of the year. So that's where I would go with it. The UK Browns fan has this question. If Deshaun isn't able to go on Sunday, how confident are you that DTR can play well enough to give this team a chance to win the game? Keep up the great work, Quincy. Shout out from across the pond. Appreciate you. Really do. I'm not going to be so confident that I think DTR can win you this game versus the Baltimore Ravens, but I think DTR, if put in a position to win by the defense, he's not going to mess it up. Right. I think that's a fair guess, right? If it gets to a point to where you get down a certain score and it becomes obvious that DTR is going to have to win you this game, I don't think that's a fair expectation to have of him. But if this defense plays well, the running game shows up, and all DTR has to do is not mess it up, then I trust him not to do that, and to bring home a W. So it's all about the circumstances, how the game lays out. But, you don't put DTR as your backup if you can't trust him to not mess it up, right? That's just the point blank period of that situation. I think Kevin wouldn't put him as the backup if he felt like DTR could not be trusted to not mess it up. So that's kind of how that's going to work out. If Deshaun's not able to go, they're going to put DTR in a position, hopefully, not to mess the game up. And I think DTR will deliver if that's the situation. If DTR is put in a situation to do a lot to have to win, and we're asking a little bit too much, but we'll see what the young fella can do. All right. The next one comes from 871. All right. Do you expect to see less design QB runs in the future with Watson? At least QB runs, at least less QB runs in between the tackles. Yeah, absolutely. I think that they should slow down on those. And I understand why you get those, because sometimes you want to check to it to keep a defense on its toes. The risk and reward's not worth it anymore, though. And honestly, unless you think you're going to go untouched to the sideline or untouched for like 10, 15 yards, you shouldn't be running. He's getting to that age. Eric, with this one, who are my top 5 QBs right now? Pat Mahomes 1. I would say Joe Burrow 2. Josh Allen 3. Tua 4. And Justin Herbert 5. Yeah, I'll go Justin Herbert 5. I'm really putting Joe Burrow 2 on GP because I feel like he's the second best quarterback in the NFL, but he ain't been looking like it. My man Nikulu says, if DTR has to fill in for Watson at some point and plays well, do you think they move him in the offseason for a pick and keep him as a backup or keep him through his backup through his rookie year. There are two schools of thoughts on this, right? Because the Baltimore Ravens have had opportunities to trade Tyler Huntley, but they felt like he was too valuable of an asset given Lamar's injury history to trade. That's going to have a lot to do with how often they feel like, not Lamar, Deshaun's going to be in a position to miss games. If they feel like Deshaun's style has significantly changed to where he's able to play a safer style of football and he's not going to be as much of an injury risk, then I think they'll feel comfortable moving on from DTR if he has a good game and somebody's willing to offer you a good amount for him. If things look shaky with Deshaun as far as like play wise or injury or health wise, then they'll keep DTR as an insurance policy in case they need to move on from Deshaun. So it's less about if he has a good game this week and it's more about how the rest of the season plays out. He could have a good game and stay here for that rookie deal. He could have a good game and get traded tomorrow. It's all about how this season plays out and where's the level of trust on what quarterback for what reason. Darius Tony says here with this comment from I believe Patreon. Shout out to the patrons. Shout out to my patrons. Hey Q, love the content. My question is, what specifically are the adjustments you like to see and think we're going to see after the bye week? Clearly we need to adjust post Chubb, but just want an idea on what that would be. I think they're going to adjust the schemes in which they run the ball. So less outside zone, more inside zone, less wide zone, more inside zone, more quick runs, kind of just focusing. Like with Nick Chubb, you're going to run plays that have a chance to hit home runs because Nick Chubb is a home run hitter. You're going to see them use this run game to hit singles and doubles. Right. That's going to be the big change in the run game. Instead of trying to hit those home runs with those wide zones, putting the guards out and trying to get numbers, they're going to just try to focus on hitting singles, doubles with the run game. Maybe a 5-yard burst, maybe a 10-yard burst, maybe a 15-yard burst. But that's going to be the focus. It's just hitting those singles and doubles. You no longer have your home run hitter. It's all about getting on base now with the run game, for a baseball analogy for those of us who care. Alan Smith with the next question from Patreon. No, this is a YouTube member. See the badge. Respect the badge. Alan Smith says a lot of people thought the Steelers was an easy win, and that ended badly. I've been hearing the same about this game because of the injuries, and that worries me. I don't ever like underestimating a division opponent. How difficult do you think this getting a win over Baltimore will be? I don't care who's healthy, who's not, who's playing, who's not. A division win is not easy. Maybe like in Cincinnati. I'm just joking. But division wins are always tough, and that's why division wins should not be taken for granted. And that's why if they get to the bye week 3-1, it's something to respect because that means they're 2-1 in their division, and those are going to be the toughest games on the schedule no matter who you play. You could play the San Francisco 49ers, you could play the Philadelphia Eagles. It does not matter because those division games will always be the toughest games on the schedule because that's how it works in the AFC North. You know what kind of football you play here. I don't know why everybody acts surprised every year. AFC North football is no joke. Noah Brown with this question, another YouTube member. Shout out to you. Who's getting more boos on Sunday? Clowney after a tackle or OBJ after a reception? I would hope that we're over the whole Odell thing. Like, I don't think Odell really did anything to us. It just didn't work out. And we know the reason it didn't work out was more about the quarterback play that he was giving here. He was never rude to the city of Cleveland. He was never hostile towards the city of Cleveland, and he was always charitable towards the city of Cleveland. So I don't really see any reason to boo Odell Beckham. Like, he's done nothing to this franchise, to this organization that would merit that. Maybe some of y'all just never liked Odell, and this is your excuse to boo him, but he's done nothing to this city. Clowney, like, yeah, you could boo him because of the story that came out last year. Either way, I just don't think either of these situations are worth boos. Like, we used to boo situations like LeBron because that was our best player. He did not play for us anymore. Then he went to a super team and it rubbed everybody the wrong way how he did it, all that stuff. But booing Clowney and Odell Beckham, they're not LeBron. They're not worthy of being booed. They have done nothing to this city or the franchise to be worthy of being booed. It just feels kind of petty, in my opinion, to sit there and hold vitriol over these guys who, you know, Clowney, like it worked out one season and didn't the other. So I don't feel like that was a negative transaction. And Odell Beckham, we all know why that didn't work out. And part of the reason why is Deshaun Watson here? Like, so what would be the point in booing? Like, what are we booing Odell Beckham for at that point? So, you know, don't really see the point in doing any of that. So who gets booed more? I don't know. I hope the one thing that doesn't get booed is the offense, right? Like, that's what I care about. And I think the defense is going to be too good to be sitting here focusing on who we going to boo. You know, I think the team's going to be playing too well. That's what I hope for, that the team plays so well that nobody's out here caring about who getting booed or not. You know what I mean? We only going to care about that if we lose. So that's it for this week's Q&A. Y'all have a great day. Have even better day. Night. I'm tripping.